Love seeing the smile on your face, Kelly.
I love hearing you say hello. It makes me feel like I'm back home.
Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to another episode of Dirt Nap City. This is the podcast about interesting dead people. My name is Alex. I'm here with my friend Kelly. What's going on, Kelly?
I got to go see a baseball game in your town of Houston a couple days ago, and it was a pretty fun experience.
Yeah. I'm glad you're dipping your toe into the sports world for a minute.
I like to give it a try. My mom's a big baseball fan, and it was a great game because it was back and forth a little bit, and then the other team got way ahead. And then, as you said before we started recording, I've never heard the term, but now I know what it means, a walk-off homer in the bottom of the ninth. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah. Now, do you remember what team they were playing?
The Tampa Bay Rays.
You got it.
Yes.
It. Nice job.
I was paying attention.
Well, I got worried when you said the other team.
Right. I didn't want to disparage them, but in case they're listening, if there's anybody from Tampa Bay listening right now, I want to say your team put up a good fight. Junior
Caminero, if you're listening, hit us up.
My mom just kept on going on about Azuma. Azuka, what's the guy on our team? Amuza,
our team
on the Astros.
I don't know who you're talking about. Altuve.
Altuve, that's it. I knew there was an "ooh" in there somewhere. He hit a triple and a double, I think. My mom seems to be sweet on Altuve.
Yeah, well, he's awesome. But we digress. Someday, a long time from now, he'll be probably after we're gone, he'll be a subject on this show, but not today.
When Kirby and Tate are running this show.
Yeah. Let me talk to you today about a 20th century, I would call him an icon, although I don't think he's ever gotten his proper due.
It starts now.
It starts now. I think once people reevaluate this guy, they'll have more respect. They'll put more respect on his name. But kind of in my wheelhouse of 20th century influencers.
Okay. An influencer before there was an influencer, right? Before that,
there were always influencers, right? I met a guy this weekend who claimed to be an influencer. I met a few people last week that claim to be influencers. And I don't think that's something I think that's one of those things that somebody else has to say about you.
Okay.
When somebody says I'm somewhat of an influencer, it rings hollow to me. It's like, well, prove it. Influence me on something.
You're going to love this chicken. It's delicious.
It's kind of like, I don't like it when people say they're a people person. It's like, well, let me be the judge of that.
Right. Or a podcast host, right? If someone says they're a podcast host, really? All right, let me be the judge of that.
Yeah, let's see your bona fides. So, but this guy, I personally think that he didn't get his due, and maybe some people won't think he deserves anything, but we can talk about that. Born in 1914 in New York City and died in 1999, which really makes him a 20th century, puts him square in that. Didn't dabble in the 21st century at all. No. Died in Pebble Beach, California. I think you'd think of him as a New Yorker through and through, had a New York kind of a Brooklyn accent. I would say he is considered the father of reality television.
Oh.
And I could give you a hint on this guy by just a single word, and you'll probably get it, or at least get the thing that he's most known for. If I say a single word, people of our generation would know. If you say a single word, then it's almost like the start of a sentence that you could complete. You ready for that word?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Smile.
Smile. Not a dentist.
If I was to say, hey,
smile,
Kelly,
you're
smile.
on Candid Camera.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
Smile,
Remember the guy's name?
I do not. I remember Candid Camera for sure.
His name is Allen Funt.
Allen Funt. I do know that name. That is a great one because, first of all, great name, right? You don't meet many Funts in the world.
Especially since he was known for stunts.
That's right. Pulling stunts with Allen Funt. That sounds like a Beastie Boys rhyme.
Right. So, like I said, I think if you consider how long ago this stuff happened, I think there's no doubt that he would be the father of what we would call reality television. The idea of just
Yeah.
having normal, regular people kind of be the star of the show. Maybe it doesn't look like reality television today, but certainly if you trace it all the way back, I don't think it goes much further back than him.
Yeah, Smile, you're on Candid Camera. That's so because when you said Smile, I immediately started thinking of dentists and like toothpaste, but yeah, Smile, you're on Candid Camera, and I think kids maybe still say that today, still say something about Candid Camera, but they're not necessarily. I don't know. Is that still something you hear people say?
There's things that the young people say that I don't even know if they know what they mean. Like
That's what I mean.
That's like the broken record. Like I don't even know if they know what a broken record is. I was at a hotel last week with my son, and it had a record player in the hotel, and I played it for him, and it was the first time he'd ever seen a record player like in action. And
really?
He was like, "How do you do this?" And I showed him, and I said, "Now, if there's a scratch on this, it will just kind of repeat the same thing over and over, and that's where you get the phrase like a broken record."
Yeah.
And I think they might think it has to do with like a broken record, like a breaking a record, like a breaking a feat, like not an actual
jump or 3-pointers or something.
Right. Not a physical scratch on a vinyl album.
Like a broken record. But that would be a compliment. If somebody said you sound like a broken record and you meant like some sort of really cool thing you did. Right. That's a compliment.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So that's another one. And then the other one that I wonder if people do, that people our age were always doing when we were kids, was you're at the pool, right? You're at the pool and you go backwards into the pool. What do you say before you do that?
Oh, hey, Kool-Aid?
No. You're taking
the nesty plunge? The nesty plunge?
No, I know. I don't even know if nesty exists anymore. But
yeah.
I know about the nesty plunge.
Yeah,
that's some great advertising, man.
It sticks. As a matter of fact, somebody just recently, we were at dinner with some friends in upstate New York, and Julie, who's one of our big fans and Patreon supporters, said something about Weebles, or maybe it was her husband's. Everybody goes, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the only thing we know about Weebles, really. Like, I don't think I've ever had any.
Yeah, what were their jobs? What were their dreams?
They know what they could do, and they know what they couldn't do.
Yeah, and wobbling's not really a great thing to be known for. I guess not falling down is a great thing, but if you wobble all the time.
One of these days, we'll do a dead end on Weebles, I'm sure.
I thought about it.
Not to be confused with Weeblos, which were like a Cub Scout.
Yeah. Weebelos do fall down and probably don't wobble much. Yeah, and then there were those little Fisher Price people too. Remember that? They were.
Well, I think that's who Weebles competed with. The Fisher Price guys,
right,
because they would fall down.
Maybe we should have a little fight, a little fight between some sort of a comparison. But anyway, Allen Funt. Let's get back to him.
Yeah. So I don't really have a lot on his early life. I don't think it was that interesting or memorable, but I do know that he graduated at 15 because he was academically gifted.
Okay.
And because he was too young to go to college on his own at 15, he went to the local college. He grew up in Brooklyn. He went to Pratt Institute in Brooklyn and studied art. I'm not sure if he would have studied art anyways, but it was a school known for art. Later on, he got his bachelor's from Cornell, but he kind of did get his start in the arts at a young age. And then he trained in commercial art and got a job with an ad agency in the art department and eventually moved to the radio department. Now, back then, things were a lot different than they are now in terms of like advertising and this is before television. And so you would have radio shows, but these ad agencies wouldn't just make commercials. They would make the whole show. They would make the whole radio show, and the radio show would be sponsored by a particular brand, and the ad agency would make the whole thing. They would have writers and producers and creatives and media buyers and account executives all in the ad agency, and they would produce the whole show rather than the network having writers and producers and all that. The network would just buy it from the ad agency, and of course the ad agency would just.
This goes back to a phrase that kids might say that they might not know what it means. Brought to you by.
Oh yeah, brought to you by. So they would have like the Kraft, family hour, or the whatever Marlboro mystery hour or something, and it would be brought to you by the whole thing.
Why do I cough so much? It's a mystery. Brought to you by Marlboro.
Sometimes they wouldn't break for commercials, but they would have like commercials embedded into the show, or they would have the characters stop and it was a very different time. So he worked in the radio department and learned how to make TV. And then he became a writer for a show. I think it was the first game show. Now, again, we're still talking about radio. Have you ever heard of the show, or do you remember the TV version of a show called Truth or Consequences?
Yeah.
You do? Yeah. I think when we were coming up, Bob Barker was the host. In fact, Bob Barker was the host for like 20 years, like from 1956 to 1976, before his, kind of before and then concurrent with Price is Right. Okay. But so it was kind of like Truth or Dare, where they would say, they would give you a truth first, but they would ask you like an impossible, like a trivia question or like some kind of impossible question. Like they'd say what did one eye say to the other? That'll be the question. Just between us, something smells.
Oh, wow.
So if you get that question wrong,
you have to know dad jokes jokes would be a good skill on this.
Right. And if you get it wrong, then you'd face a consequence. The consequences were like, they'd make you wear a silly costume or sing, or they'd do a practical joke on you or something like that. It was one of the first game shows, and it was actually on the first day of commercial TV. And do you know what the first day of commercial TV was? What year that would have been?
I'm going to guess the early 50s, like 52.
1941 was the first day that it actually went on the air. Now, hardly anybody had a TV in 1941, but that's actually when it started. The thing about Truth or Consequences that I know, the only thing that I really know about it today, is there's a town in New Mexico called Truth or Consequences.
Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Yeah.
Do you know how they got that name?
Someone from their town was on the show.
Close. The host of the show back then, it was before Bob Barker. He said, "Hey, everybody, I'll put out a deal that any town in America that will change their name of their town to our show, I'll do the show from there for a week."
Wow.
And Hot Springs, New Mexico was like, "Yeah, we'll do it."
Hot Springs, Truth or Consequences. It's a lot more memorable.
Dude, they've been that way for like 80 years now. Didn't
Colbert do the same thing? Stephen Colbert, he got someplace maybe in Oklahoma to rename themselves Colbert.
I didn't know that.
I think he did. Yeah,
I know that John Oliver did something with naming a like a water treatment plant after him.
After John Oliver, huh.
And then he also did something similar with like a minor league baseball team, where he said, "If you let us name it, but you have to go with whatever we named it." So yeah, there's always been little stunts like that. But that town in New Mexico has been Truth or Consequences for nearly 80 years. That used to be Hot Springs.
Well, look, Alex, this is perfect. Why don't we offer up, if somebody will rename their town Dirt Nap City, we will come record there for a week. Now, it has to be a population of at least... it has to be a population of at least... what's our minimum size? Or are we okay with like a population 10?
I think I'd be better with like a podunk town.
Don't call it podunk.
Well, I think if you name it Podunk, that's even better.
No, it's not. Dirt Nap City would be, if somebody will name their town Dirt Nap City, we will give you a sticker, a T-shirt, and we can talk about a Cadillac.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll do a show there from a week.
Yes.
Now, every day for a week, or just like?
Yeah, I think we should do a live show at the Civic Center if they have one, or the elementary school if they have one, or wherever at their local KFC if they have one. We'll do a live broadcast with the audience there, live recording, and we'll take questions from the audience. Just rename your town Dirt Nap City.
Well, this reminds me, I was in Wyoming last week, and I was telling my son about there's a town in Wyoming called Sheridan, Wyoming. Does that ring any bells to you? Do you know why I would remember that?
Is that Sheridan from Yellowstone, like the creator of Yellowstone?
No, it's in 1986, I believe. MTV had a contest, and it was win a date with Prince, and they were promoting his new movie Under the Cherry Moon. And the person who won the contest, and MTV was huge in 1986. The person who won the contest was from Sheridan, Wyoming, and he did his premiere of his movie at the biggest place in town, which was the Holiday Inn in Sheridan, Wyoming. He did the world premiere of Under the Cherry Moon there, had a red carpet, and played a 45-minute set at the ballroom in the Holiday Inn in Sheridan, Wyoming.
Did you really stay there?
No, we didn't go through Sheridan, but it's one of the only things I know about Wyoming is that, but I was really plugged into that when it all happened. I thought it was so cool that Prince was just going in the middle of Wyoming and playing at a Holiday Inn. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Now you said the person that won, and then you said was it a guy that won this contest?
No, it was the woman that won the contest.
Okay.
And I don't know about a date. I mean, well, knowing Prince, it could have gone any which way. But yeah, she probably had a great time.
Yeah.
Back to Allen Funt.
Yes.
Did you know that during that time when he wrote for Truth or Consequences, he also helped Eleanor Roosevelt with her commercials? She would do commercials from time to time.
No.
Yeah.
No. Another tie-in. Wow.
Yeah. So he got drafted during World War II and was stationed in Oklahoma with the Army Signal Corps. You ever heard of the Army Signal Corps?
Yeah. They were like the guys that did the radios and communications.
Just anything having to do with communications, including like doing like radio shows for both like for PR kind of promoting military stuff, but also, entertainment shows. But you're right. They also were responsible for like radar and telephone communications and all that kind of stuff. But he worked on the PR side and produced like radio programs. And then after the war in 1947, he came up with an idea for a show called Candid Microphone.
Like Candid Camera.
Yeah, but this was before like TV was really big.
Okay.
So in 1947, ABC Radio put on this show called Candid Microphone. It only lasted like a year, and then it was revived by CBS Radio in 1950, but very different than Candid Camera because Candid Camera was mostly like sight gags, but this was, you'd have to do it with a microphone. I have a clip from that because Candid Camera clips, like I say, aren't great for audio, which is our medium of choice. But I have a good clip for you here from Candid Microphone. Play that clip A.
The American Broadcasting Company presents the Candid Microphone, the program that brings you the honest reactions of ordinary people, secretly recorded. No one ever knows when he's talking into the Candid Microphone.
This program's about people, not precocious people or problem people or people in search of electric refrigerators and vacuum cleaners, just people. We want to know what they're like. But when most people step in front of a microphone, they change. Some get shy, others show off, and some shut up like clams. But get those same people where they live and work and play, hide a microphone and record what they say, and they sound real again. That's what this program wants you to hear. Ordinary people reacting to all kinds of situations. Some funny, some unusual, some just human. But remember, none of the people on this program ever knew they were talking into the Candid Microphone. Just how funny is a practical joke? Those silly little tricks like exploding cigarettes, collapsible chairs, and knives with hinges in the middle. Do they serve any useful purpose in this already hectic life? The clown who uses them, of course, will get some kind of satisfaction out of watching his victim squirm. But what about the victim? The Candid Microphone decided to indulge in one of the less injurious variety to see how a victim reacted. We connived with the bartender to set up our recorder under his bar, and then with the microphone concealed in a basket of pretzels, we ordered a drink and waited for somebody to come along. Pretty soon, a lone man sat down beside us. He was an immaculate fellow, crisp-looking, even on this sticky day. Perhaps not the ideal subject for a practical joke, but maybe he would be friendlier than he looked. We fingered the exploding cigarette that we were going to offer him, and struck up a conversation that was recorded as follows.
Fella, you bought the last drink. How about letting me buy one for you now?
All right, fine. I'd like another one.
You drinking bourbon?
Bourbon, yeah, please.
Plain soda?
No, I'd like, a Candid dry soda. I like that quite a bit.
Well, fine.
Incidentally, what sort of soda do you use when you...
I was using just plain, sparkling water, any kind. How about a cigarette?
Yeah, I believe I will.
Good. Do you like?
Yeah, all right, very well.
Here it comes.
Thank you.
There we go. Oh, boy, these sticky days. I notice you can keep that collar from wilting. How in the devil do you manage to do that? Look, my collars will just fade away and get to nothing in no time.
Well, I don't know. It's true you have to change it once in a while, but it's a neckband shirt, you know.
Look at how fresh it looks. I can never keep them that way for 2 hours.
They're not very comfortable, I'll tell you that, though, sometimes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Why, too stiff on
Yeah,
your
a little
neck?
stiff. That's before the war.
Yeah. Oh, it's murder.
What?
What's the matter, Dick?
Well, what kind of a cigarette did you give me
Oh,
here?
it's just one of those
Well,
little
that's
things.
not so damn funny, I don't think. Yeah, that makes me sore in the devil.
Why? It couldn't
Well,
hurt
it's not
you.
funny, that's all. What are you, a school kid or something?
Well, it's just a little practical
No,
joke,
I can't
eh?
see it. I'm sorry.
Why?
I'll pay for the drink and get out of here. I don't
No, wait a second.
No,
You're taking the
no,
wrong attitude,
I'm sorry. I
Dick.
can't see it.
Well, it couldn't hurt you. Did it
Well,
hurt
how do
you?
you know it couldn't hurt me? Might have put my eye out.
Well, it's just a tiny little
Yeah,
charge.
that's what you say. What I know. Did
Well,
you
look.
make them yourself?
No, I
Where did
bought
they
it.
come from?
Well, they buy them in a little joke
What's the
store.
idea? I've never met you before anyhow. What's the idea of pulling a trick like that on a stranger?
But it's just for a gag.
I just don't like people like you.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Cringy.
suspense, right? Yeah, exactly. There's a little suspense, and I think it goes on from our ears right now. It goes on a little too long, right? But that's
Yeah.
that's kind of what Imagine this new medium. I was riveted, actually. I thought it was kind of cool.
They're trying to take up time. Well, just the way they talk, right?
Well,
people
people-
back then had a cadence to them. They kind of talked a
Yeah.
little more like this.
Hey, what's the big idea? What's the big idea?
What you trying to do?
Lighting cigarette.
What's the you smart Alec?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why I oughta. But I that's Candid Microphone in a nutshell, right?
That had to be Allen Funt then.
Yeah, I think it was. He just sounded so young compared to the kind of the old man that we knew later.
Sure.
So in 1948, he made a series of 10-minute films for Columbia Pictures. And they played those in theaters. They were pranks. He called them Candid Microphone, but it was like on video. So it was really Candid
on film.
Camera. And Candid Camera actually premiered on TV then in 1948, and it was on ABC, NBC, and CBS until 1953. In 1960, CBS put it on their nighttime lineup. It was the lead-in for the game show What's My Line? But the producers back then, now the networks had producers. They kept looking for a host that wasn't Allen Funt. They didn't think that he could carry a show like that, even though he did and people liked the show. They were always looking for someone else. Like, they would give him credit for coming up with the gags, but then they would always find like people that were more charismatic or better looking or women that would host the show. And that never seemed to work. Buster Keaton was a frequent guest on the show. He loved it. And he actually came up with the tagline, "Smile, you're on Candid Camera." He would look right in the camera and say that, which is pretty cool because he was a silent film guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it didn't Buster Keaton star in silent films, but
yeah. So it was canceled in 1967, but then ran as a daytime show from 66 to 68. Of course, later on, we knew it. Later, it always one of these things that keeps coming back. But one of those, when it was on in the 60s, I was looking at some of the gags on YouTube that people would do. And again, there's nothing really that would be great for our audio here to play, but I would tell you about some of the gags that you can look up and watch for yourself. One of the ones that I thought was going to be kind of cringy because I assumed it wouldn't have dated well, but it kind of surprisingly is kind of cool, is that they had a gag where it was 1963 and they were in an airport, and this woman came and she asked for what the weather was like, or what the time. She asked the time and then the weather, and then the bartender, or whatever, they were at a bar, and the bartender said, he says, "Have a good flight," and he said something about that woman, that's your pilot, and of course that was a gag because there were no women pilots in 1963, and they were getting people's reaction to the pilot being a woman. But surprisingly, like, the reactions were kind of like, "Oh, cool." Like, "Oh, that I've never seen a woman pilot before." But they weren't like, "I'm not getting on that plane." Now, maybe there were, and they didn't show those. But I thought it was kind of cool and kind of like pushed the envelope of, okay, well, what would be that big of a deal about having a woman pilot? Now, it was played for laughs, but it wasn't like, when you watch it today, it isn't like insulting. It's actually kind of, I don't know, it's kind of instructive of what things were like, 60 years ago.
Wow.
There's another one where a woman pulls into a service station. Remember service stations, right?
Oh yeah.
Complaining that her car won't start, and they open the hood and there's no engine in the car. Harmless things, but funny. There's one where they're at a diner, and that every time the food would arrive, somebody would like turn around and a hand would reach in and steal a bite of their food. That's a good one. There's one where it was a melting spoon, so they'd put the spoon in the soup and it would melt. And then a real famous one that you may have learned like in your psychology classes in college. There's one that they do where it turns out it's about conformity, but the elevator door opens and everybody in the elevator is faced towards the back of the wall. And so they're all like Confederates. They all know what's going on. And then the person
gets in and sees how they...
Yeah, and then they turn.
Does anybody stay forward, or does everybody turn backwards?
No, everyone ends up eventually like turning backwards too. That's a cool lesson in conformity. Actually, a lot of social psychology classes tend to talk a lot about some of these gags that he did. He didn't really play them as like social experiments, but he did talk about how, his things, he didn't like the word pranks. He said that he was just observing, human behavior. Well, in 1970, he decided that he was going to try to not be constrained by the rules of network TV. And he came up with a movie called "What Do You Say to a Naked Lady?" Have you ever heard of this movie?
No.
Well, as you can imagine, it was kind of Candid Camera style, but it would be a lot of naked ladies involved, where they would just like the elevator would open.
Band. They're playing 1 week, right?
The elevator would open and there'd be like a naked lady, or a lady would come in and whatever.
But she would just pretend to be it was just a normal situation.
The Motion Picture Association did not like how brazen he was with this, and they slapped an X rating on this movie. Now, it is not by any accounts any kind of like pornographic movie. It would be, probably PG-13 if you saw it today, right? But that got him basically blackballed from TV until 1974, where they started resuming the show again. But what do you say to Naked Lady kind of derailed his career for a little while? I don't think he cared. I think he was kind of pushing the envelope, and he came up with another movie called Money Talks, which is more like about how people are influenced by money, but all the Candid Camera style. In 1982, he came up with a TV version of What Do You Say to a Naked Lady that was more for like cable TV, called Candid Camera. Do you remember that one?
No, never heard of that one.
Again, a little audio.
We didn't have cable, so
sorry.
I wouldn't have
Sorry
seen
about that. Sorry to bring that up. He donated all of his recordings, all of the video to Cornell University. He's established a scholarship at Syracuse University for Black students who are on the producing and creative side of television. And he started a foundation that uses laughter therapy called Laughter Therapy Foundation, where you notice that people who are sick and terminally ill, that just by watching like Candid Camera reruns, they start to laugh and smile and feel better. And he noticed that pretty early on and has sunk a lot of money into this Laughter Therapy Foundation. You can't go wrong with that, right?
Laughter is the best medicine.
So in 1969, this we talk about these people having interesting lives. Here's something that I thought was pretty interesting, and you can't really talk about this guy's life without talking about this incident. In 1969, he and his wife and 2 kids were on a flight from Newark to Miami, and the flight was hijacked. Do you remember back when people used to hijack planes all the time?
Yeah. Take me to Brazil. I won $100,000 on the runway and land this plane in Brazil. And
right. Well, a lot of times it was Cuba. A lot of times it was Cuba.
That's right.
You couldn't take commercial flights to Cuba back then. And so the hijackers demanded passage to Cuba, and it was pretty scary. But like I said, it kind of happened a lot back then. Not a lot, but it was an event, and it was scary. And they basically take these people hostage. But here's the thing. As you can imagine, you see Allen Funt on the plane, right? You're just a regular passenger. You see Allen Funt on the plane. Then all of a sudden, all these guys get on the plane and they say, this plane's going to Cuba. And everyone started laughing. They're like, oh, Funt, we're on to you, man. We saw you. And it was completely real. It was completely real. All these people actually were in danger, but they weren't scared because they thought it was a prank.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it's a Candid Camera sketch in reverse. Usually the audience thinks something is fake is real. And here they thought something real was fake. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Yeah, that is. So that actually really happened.
It really happened. It finally landed in Cuba. And then once they got to Cuba, people were like, oh, he's taking this a little too far. Maybe this is real. The hostages were all released after 11 hours. I say hostages. They were just passengers on a plane. But, they were at gunpoint. They were actually in danger, but didn't think it, didn't know it. The only one that was really scared was Allen Funt because he knew it was, it was real.
Wow.
But that kind of shows you, like, I don't know, that's so meta, right? That's so, like, just a commentary of what we've done to ourselves.
And in today's world, it's even more complicated, right? Because back then when something like that would happen, it was, a camera crew was an unusual thing. Today you see people with cameras all over the place.
Right, but you couldn't see the camera. It was hidden usually on these things.
True. No, but I guess what I'm saying is Jackass and these stunt shows and Borat, and things like that. You kind of you think there's more likelihood that you're getting pranked today than back then. Back then, it was one show that did it, one show that was known for doing it. Today, there's 1,000 1,000 things that make money and entertain people by pranking them.
Well, that's a good point. And not just for prank shows, but like, I think it's impossible to watch commercials from back then without the context of how new commercials were and how new TV was and as a medium. And people just seemed they were more naive back then. And then our generation, I think, necessarily became so jaded and cynical because we'd kind of seen it all, right? Yeah, suspicious. And if somebody walks on your door trying to sell you aluminum siding, you're on to them, right? But in 1951, you'd think they were just a nice person and trying to, make a sale or whatever. And now we know all the tricks. And it's interesting. So I'm sure that these candid shows were, I watched one where they put up a sign. It was on the Delaware Pennsylvania border, I think, and they put up a sign that said Delaware closed. And these people would come up to it, and they, this guy dressed like a state trooper, which is probably illegal now, would say, "I'm sorry, you can't go past here. Delaware's closed." And they're like, "What? The whole state's closed?" And then finally, this woman's go, "Well, is New Jersey closed?" And he goes, "No, ma'am, New Jersey's not closed." And she goes, "Well, I'll just go to New Jersey then." And the guy goes, "Well, the problem is if you're in New Jersey, you won't be on Candid Camera." And she goes, "Candid Camera? Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm on Candid Camera." Once they're onto it, they're excited about it.
Yeah. That's their 15 minutes of fame.
So his son, Peter Funt. You remember Peter Funt? I
do not.
He kind of took over. He first appeared on Candid Camera as a 3-year-old, shining shoes. Joined Allen as the co-host in 1987, took over in 1993 after Allen Funt had a stroke. And then there's these reincarnations of the show every few years. Like it was on from 1996 to 2000 on CBS, and then on a network called PAX from 2001 to 2004. And then TV Land had a version in 2014. I mean, I think this is the kind of thing that people keep wanting to see.
Is it still called Candid Camera in all those situations? Like, is it still his IP, like his original idea?
Well, yes. Yeah, it's still his idea. Fox tried to come up with a version, and I forget what year this was. It was like 2005 maybe. And Peter Funt was watching this show. It was obviously a ripoff of Candid Camera. I mean, really, you wonder like how much of the IP do they really own? Or the idea.
It's not that original of an idea. It was at the time, but it's like kind of, it's like, okay, we're going to show about breathing. Nobody's allowed to breathe anymore because we own the IP on breathing.
So Peter Funt's watching the show, and coincidentally, like 4 of his college buddies are on this show. Like he recognizes them, and turns out the show, it wasn't really unsuspecting people. It was people acting like they were unsuspecting people, which is the laziest version of this because you really can just do the show. Why would you have to pretend? So they sued. I think he was just insulted that like it was obvious that it was a fake. And these were like college friends of his, and that would be kind of coincidental. They would all happen to be in this, and they were actors too, And so Candid Camera or the Funt estate or whatever sued Fox and won a bunch of money on this fake show. And I don't think anyone's really tried that actual version of Candid Camera. Now, I think when we talk about his legacy, there's kind of 3 buckets that I'd put those in. There's the hidden camera shows. And I think you'd put Punk'd. Remember Punk'd?
Yeah.
So Punk's twist on that was an MTV show. And Punk's twist was celebrities getting punked.
Okay.
So the idea there is, and they were kind of being humiliated, I think. Candid Camera never tried to humiliate the unsuspecting people. It was just having a good time with them. But on Punk'd, I think they really were trying to take these people down a peg, make them look a little not so invincible,
Yeah.
So, you Justin Timberlake, I think you'd remember.
It's like they pull him over for DUI, and they make him walk the line. And
I think they like took his car, like towed his car, and like he came out and threw a fit, and it didn't make him look great, and but you're taking them down a peg, and I think nobody has a problem with that with celebrities. People do have a problem humiliating just regular folks. Impractical Jokers is a show that's on now that kind of does the same thing with kind of a hidden camera
thing. Somebody talking into the ear of somebody, right? Now tell him that blah 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 and do this, right?
I've never actually seen that show, but
I've seen clips of it. I kind of hate that stuff. Like that stuff, I am not good with those uncomfortable interactions. Like it just makes me want to crawl under a rock.
Yeah. No, there's a show that's not played for laughs on ABC called What Would You Do? I think I've heard you reference that show before, where they put people in a situation like, they'll overhear something like racist or something, and you wonder what they would do.
Well, this is a lot like, I don't know that show, but this sounds a lot like that court show where the guy was a juror and didn't know that he was jury duty, and then the follow on that. It's like this one guy. Everybody else is an actor, but this one guy is the person to figure out what they would do. Are they a good person? Are they going to actually, take advantage of this other person because they can, kind of thing?
Right. Then I think the next legacy would be not so much hidden cameras, but the social experiments, like What Would You Do? And actually the one that does a lot of that right now is Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast comes up with these, really elaborate stunts, costing so much money a lot of times that nobody could do but him. And these are sometimes 20, 30, 40-minute shows that are pretty compelling, but a lot of times they're not necessarily hidden camera, but kind of what would you do in this situation, or have 100 people locked in a grocery store and then whoever can get out wins $1 million or whatever, and those kind of things I find still pretty compelling, even though we've kind of seen it all. And then the third bucket, I think, is kind of what you were alluding to before, is the cringe aspect of it all, right? Some people are, even listening to somebody with an exploding cigarette would be uncomfortable with that, right? And this would be your shows like Jackass, or Borat, like you said. Eric Andre, you familiar with him?
Yeah.
And he had a movie called Bad Trip, where it was a whole movie about, they do crazy things and then watch people's reactions to it. I think Tom Green back in the day used to do this kind of thing. And then the king of this all, to me, is one of my favorites, is Nathan Fielder. It doesn't sound like you really get into this kind of stuff, but I love this kind of cringe humor. I think it's really funny.
I don't even know who Nathan Fielder is. I've never seen him.
You probably wouldn't like it based on what you've said today, how it makes you uncomfortable. And of course, there's a million YouTube imitators that do kind of a bad job of this stuff, right?
Right. They claim to be influencers.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he wasn't interested in humiliating people. He thought that if the audience was laughing at the victim instead of with them, that something had gone wrong. Like I said, he hated the word prank. To his mind, these were social observations, and the comedy was the byproduct, not laughing at someone's expense. And some of these other people that we've talked about, like, Sacha Baron Cohen, has a different goal. His goal is to like reveal hypocrisy in the world, or take down, Punked was like, let's, make a celebrity feel like the world is falling apart and then jump out and say, gotcha, and Eric Andre's whole thing is like, let's see what happens when society breaks down. They'll have these elaborate stunts that and see people's reaction to just the craziest stuff. But in order to run, we have to walk. And in order to get to those things, we have to do exploding cigarettes on audio, right? Hey, what's a big idea? So Allen Funt never won an Emmy, never won a Golden Globe, does not have his is not on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. All we have is his legacy, which I think you really can't write the story of television these days without talking a lot about reality TV. And this guy died in 1999, right when all that stuff was starting. But I think we really have to kind of call him the father of this stuff. What do you think about this?
I agree. And, he's a name that I had heard of. I did know he was once you said it, I knew he was the host of Candid Camera, but I couldn't have named him as that. But it's weird because he is maybe a bit of an unsung hero. You can ask kids today if they've heard of Candid Camera. They might not know what it is, as we were talking about the phrase. But Allen Funt, most people, younger people, wouldn't have heard of it. But if you said that was the original Tom Green or that was the original Sacha Baron Cohen or Jackass, then people would say, oh, I get it. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think he was an innovator. And I didn't know the part that you said about him wanting to not laugh at people, but with people. And that's an easy thing to say. But if you actually practice that, it's a really good thing.
Yeah. And who knows? We haven't seen all the outtakes, and maybe occasionally, but just the fact that we didn't see those meant that if it ever did cross the line, that ended up on the cutting room floor, right? That
if that guy actually had put his eye out with the cigarette, they wouldn't have shown it.
Well, it was on microphone, but yeah.
You wouldn't have heard it.
Well, let's end this with the theme song from What Do You Say to a Naked Lady? It doesn't get any more 1970 movie soundtrack than this. Let's hear
waka 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 ticka ticka wow.
No, it's a great little ditty.
What do you say to a naked lady, one that you barely know? What do you say to a naked lady? Do you just say hello? Or do you say, hi, how nice to see you, and hi, and don't I know you, and hi, say haven't we met before? Or do you look the other way, look away, pretending she's not really there, look away, and when she passes you by, do you turn around and stare? What do you say to a naked lady? What do you say to a naked lady if she's someone you know? What do you say for a salutation when she says hello, Joe? Or do you say, hi, and how's your family, and hi, how about this weather, and my, I think you're looking swell? Or do you look the other way, look away, pretending she's not really there, look away, and when she passes you by, do you turn around and stare? What do you say to a naked lady?